Buen vivir is to be good, is not to have more.
People want to live well. They don't want to have too much.
Buen vivir is for everybody. It's not an individualistic idea of wealth and well-being. It's the idea that we live well in a community that thrives.
We have a common way of viewing life that can be better, not dependent on growth, not dependent on economic acquisitions, but on a life of solidarity, a life that supports one another.
We can't just say we are building Buen Vivir or Ubuntu without resisting the attempt of corporations of taking over our lives.
We have a system that is failing poor people in this country. We need to find a way to meet people's needs, to get people fed, to keep people housed, to keep people clothed, to get their kids properly educated.
Entire countries feel like they're not growing enough, their GDP isn't growing enough. That doesn't say much about whether they're meeting the basic human needs of their populace. That just is some abstraction in terms of resource and money growth.
What you have right now is this hyper-financialized behemoth located on Wall Street with tentacles across this country that has very little to do with the real economy.
We need to have a more intersectional approach in the way we address things.
We're really talking about a just transition that is democratic, and that is about restoring popular control over both the economy and the policy.
Education, hospitals, public services like healthcare and so on are being enclosed, commodified, privatized, and transformed from being a public commons or a public good to a form of private profit-making.
We've lost the range of kinds of belonging, that there were things that were considered to belong to and perhaps even be owned by a community, like a library, like the internet for that matter, something that was all of ours.
The commons has always been part of our livelihoods, always been part of our economy. It helps us, it provides us a way and a worldview and a framework to understand that there is no such thing as the economy separated from the culture, the society, the environment. The commons binds it all together.
Commons are resources plus the community, plus the social and cultural rules that they've devised for managing the resource.
If the fishery has representation from the different communities that depend on that fishery, they have a way, a clear set of rules of adjudicating and delegating powers throughout the communities. Those end up being sustainable fisheries.
Fundamentally, the commons is about how we relate to each other, how we relate to our world, and what that means.
That is essentially what cooperative is. A cooperative is a special case of shared power.
There's a phrase, there is no commons without commoning. The commons is not a thing, it's a verb, it's an activity, it's a practice.
There is an emergent, a powerful and terribly exciting movement of these worlds of the commons. That's where the future is, that's where the answers to most of these problems are.
There's community-supported agriculture projects, there's repair shops, couchsurfing,
crowdfunding and crowdsourcing.
The Transition Towns movement.
Eco-villages.
Community-owned energy companies.
Worker co-ops.
The creation of Wikipedia.
What if we actually had governance structures that enabled people to govern their commons locally, whether those were, their water commons, land commons, civic commons in different ways? That starts to help us reimagine our democracy and governance structures.
We have to propose policies that can gradually decommodify land, labor, money, and knowledge.
We need to empower ourselves. We need to feel that we are able, we are the stakeholders, we are those who can enable us through cooperation, collaboration, sharing, and co-creation to recreate the world we want to live in and to change it.
The new economy, post-growth, buen vivir, call it as you want, but we need something different.